vertically upwards. After t seconds, its height in meters is height equals 100t minus 5t squared. Find the height of the rocket after 2 seconds. 2 seconds. Find the speed of the rocket after 3 seconds. After how many seconds will the rocket be momentarily at rest? Okay, and part 4, the maximum height reached by the rocket. Okay, so I think you've that written down since yesterday, do you? Yeah. Okay, so Neve, would you do me a favour? Would you turn off these lights so the switch nearest to me? Thanks. Yeah, that's kind. Yeah, that's fine, is it? Okay, right. So let's go. The height of the rocket. Right. Okay. Before I start, height is another word for distance. Okay. So I'm going to write the word distance. Right. Okay. So remember, height is just distance up. Right. So the height is 100t minus 5t squared. So I haven't even read the question yet, and I'm going to write down these 3 statements. Okay, so that's what they told me. Then I'm going to, we've learned that when you differentiate distance, you get speed. So what's speed? What's the expression for speed? 100 minus 10t. Isn't that right? Okay, and when you differentiate again, what you get? Acceleration. Okay. Sorry? 5t squared it is, yeah. So then you get acceleration when you differentiate again. So acceleration is minus 10, isn't it? Differentiate 100, you get 0. Differentiate minus 10t, you get t. Just on that, girls, acceleration has a minus sign on it. What do you think that'll tell you? Acceleration is it getting faster or getting slower? Slower. If it's getting slower, acceleration is going to be negative, right? And if an object is getting faster, acceleration is going to be you're getting faster. Okay? So that just tells you it's getting slower, and that makes sense because when you throw something up, right, it gets slower and slower and slower, and it eventually stops. Once it stops, then it starts to fall, and when something is falling, it's getting faster and faster and faster and faster. Right? Okay? So distance, speed, acceleration. Got it? Now we read the question. So part 1 says, find the height of the rocket after 2 seconds. So you look up and you say which equation applies to height. So which one is height? The first one, isn't it? So height is equal to 100t minus 5t squared, right? And they want this after 2 seconds. So does anyone tell me how I'll find the height after 2 seconds? 2 seconds, remember 2 seconds is time. So anyone tell me? Everywhere I see a t, put in a 2. So the height is equal to 100 multiplied by 2 minus 5 times 2 to be squared into the calculator with that. That's 200, take away 20, which would be 180. Okay, is that right? Okay, so part 2, they want me to find the speed after 3 seconds. So they want me to find the speed after 3 seconds. So, right. Speed after 3 seconds. So how do I get speed? I look up from my 3 things. Which formula am I writing down? 100 minus 10t. So I want this after 3 seconds. So what does that mean? Everywhere I see a t, put in a 3. So that's 100 minus 10 times 3, which is 70. Okay, so the speed is 70 meters per second, but I'm not even going to put in the units because you don't need them here, right? You don't need the units, okay? Right? Next one, part 3. Now, this is a special question that I wrote on the first sheet yesterday, and I drew a box around it, right? It says, after how many seconds will the rocket be momentarily at rest? So, basically, at rest means what? It means the rocket is what? Stopped, isn't it? Right, at rest means it's not moving, it's stopped. And what's the story when any object is stopped? What's the story? Speed is equal to 0, right? So if it's not moving, the speed is 0, okay? Right? So I go up here and I get my equation for speed. So my equation for speed there is what? 100 minus 10t. And I'm going to let that equal to 0. So speed is equal to 0, right? So this is a case of t's on one side, numbers on the other. So I'm moving the 100, I'm leaving the minus 10t, I'm bringing the 100 over the wall, and I get minus 100. Then I divide each side, there's a minus 10 stuck to the t, so I'm going to divide each side by minus 10. So t is equal to, a minus divided by minus is a plus, and 100 divided by 10 is 10, and it's times, so it's seconds, but you don't need to put in the unit. Okay, is that right? Okay, so they love that question, right? Okay, and I'm telling you here and now, if they ask you about distance, speed, and acceleration in your Lebensart, they'll ask you about it being stopped, right? And what's the story when it's stopped? Here we go. What's the story when it's stopped? Speed equals 0. So whatever they're talking about, they might be talking about a train or a car. In this case, it's a rocket going up. Doesn't matter. If something is stopped, its speed is 0. Okay? Right? And then part 4 asks you for the maximum height reached by the rocket. Okay? So the maximum height reached by the rocket. So your rocket, so I want height, don't I? So I have a formula for height up there at the top, equals 100t minus 5t squared. Now they haven't told me, they've asked me what's the height, but they haven't told me the t. But I know, right, okay, when I shoot the rocket up, it's going to go up, 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 it's going to slow down. What's eventually going to stop? What happened to it? I just said it. What eventually happens to the rocket? It stops, right? Okay, and then it falls back down, is that right? So at the point where it stops, that's as high as it goes, isn't it? So the point where it stops is, that's it's done, right? That's as high as it goes. Would you agree? And how many seconds did it stop? After how many seconds did it stop? You just figured it out. After 10 seconds it stopped, isn't it? Because that's okay, that's what you did there. So when it stopped, it's gone as high as it's going to go, because it's going to come back down then, right? So after 10 seconds, it stopped. So basically you want its height after 10 seconds, right? So that's it. They just phrased the question slightly differently. They didn't tell you the 10 seconds, right? So they want its height after 10 seconds. So can anyone tell me how I get its height after 10 seconds? Everywhere I see a t, put in a 10. So that would be 100 times 10 minus 5 times 10 to be squared. So that would be 1,000, take away 500, which would be 500. Okay, so I think it's in meters. Okay, so basically it goes up to 500 meters and then it comes back down again. Okay, is that right? Okay, so next thing I'm going to do is I'll correct last night's homework, because we'd only started it and I just asked you to try it. So I'm going to do the questions. Is that down? Right, okay. So I'm on page 260. And I'm doing question 1. Okay, so last night's homework, I just asked you to try page 260, question 1. Okay, so I'm reading question 1. A body moves, right? We don't know whether it's a person or a car or a bicycle or whatever. A body is just something's moving, right? S meters in t seconds such that S equals 2t squared minus 4t plus 4. Okay, so that's what they told me. Right, what's the story with S? What does S stand for? I told you yesterday. It's a physics thing. Right, what does S stand for? Distance. So I'm going to knock that out, that S, and I'm going to change it to distance. Because S is going to confuse me. Right, okay, so I'm going to change that to distance. Before I even read the question, what am I going to write next? When you differentiate distance, what you get? Speed. So differentiate distance, you get speed. So differentiate here, what will I get? 4t. So bring the power down in front, 2 by 2 is 4. Reduce the power by 1, so there was t to the power 2, now it's t to the power 1, which is just t, isn't it? Okay, and differentiate minus 4t and you just get minus 4. Is that okay? Differentiate again. Differentiate distance, you get speed. Differentiate speed, what you get? Acceleration. So when you differentiate again, you get acceleration. And what's this? Differentiate again, what you get? Differentiate again, you get 4. Isn't that right? Is it getting faster or slower? Whatever the body is. Is it getting faster or slower? It's getting faster. How do I know it's getting faster? Because the acceleration is plus. Positive, it's positive, so that means it's getting faster. If acceleration was a minus number, it's getting slower. Doesn't matter what it's doing, no, but this is just right. Okay, so part 1 asks me for the distance after 4 seconds. Now, if I do these 3 equations up at the top, right, I've done all the differentiation, etc. that I need to do. Okay. So if I want its distance after 4 seconds, which formula am I going to take? The first one. So 2t squared minus 4t plus 4. That's distance. What I do now, I want after 4 seconds. So what will I do? Everywhere I see a t, put in a 4. So that's 2 times 4 to be squared minus 4 times 4 plus 4, and that would be 20. Okay, so into the calculator with that and you'll get 20. Is that alright? No, yeah, you would. Yeah. Okay, is that okay? Right, part 2. So this is last night's homework. So part 2, then they asked me the distance after 6 seconds. So up I go to the top. Okay, so they gave me 1 formula, I gave them 3, so before I even read the question, I had these 3 bits done. Okay, so I'm looking for distance again, so which formula am I using? First one again, so 2t squared minus 4t plus 4. This time they want 6 seconds, so what will I do? Everywhere I see a t, put in a 6, so I get 2 times 6 to be squared minus 4 times 6 plus 4 into the calculator with that, and you get 28. Is that okay? Are we okay with that? Right, okay. That was part 2. So part 3 says, what is the speed after 5 seconds? So speed after 5 seconds. So up I go to the top and I get the formula for speed. What's the formula for speed? 4t minus 4. And if I want this after 5 seconds, that means everywhere I see a t, stick in a 5. So that's 4 times 5 minus 4, which would be 16. Are we okay? Right, okay, the next one is part 5. What does the SDT equal naught? mean? So remember, they're just asking me what it means, okay? Remember, ds is the distance. So if you differentiate the distance, what do you get? Differentiate distance, what do you get? Speed. So they're basically asking me, what's going on when the speed equals 0? So this is differentiating distance. So when you differentiate distance, you get speed. So they're asking me, what's the story when speed equals 0? What's the story with the thing, the body? It is what? Body is at rest, or it's stopped, right? At rest, stopped, same thing, right? Okay, so they're asking me, what's the story when speed is 0, the body, whatever is moving, is not moving anymore. Okay, the next one is part 6. Right, okay, so part 6 is, after how many seconds is the body at rest? So body at rest, what's that another way of saying? Yeah, it stopped, right? So when it's stopped, what's the rule when it's stopped? What equals 0? Speed equals 0. So you know speed equals 0. So up you go to the top and you get your formula for speed. Here it is, 4t minus 4. Is that okay? So you go 4t minus 4 equals 0. What I do now? Yeah, t's on one side, numbers on the other. How do I know not to use the minus b formula? Because there's no what? There's no squared term, so there isn't. You only use the minus b formula if there's a squared term. If it's just t or x or whatever, it's just numbers on one side, letters on the other. So leave the 4t, bring the minus 4 over, it becomes a plus 4. And then there's a 4 stuck to the t, so that means divide each side by 4. They cancel, and over here you have 4 divided by 4 is 1. And it's time, so it's 1 second. So after 1 second, the body has stopped moving. Okay? Is that alright? Okay, I'll correct number 2 now. So I'm on page 260 still. And this time I'm correcting question 2. Okay? So a motorcyclist, right, we have a motorcyclist, we don't care. A motorcycle accelerates in a straight line away from a starting point. The distance travelled, so don't mind the accelerates or whatever. All you want to know is the distance travelled is given by t squared. So it says s is equal to t squared, but remember I don't like using s. Right? Okay? So I can differentiate. If I differentiate distance, what do I get? Speed. So what is the formula for speed, please? 2t. Differentiate that, bring the power down in front, reduce the power by 1. Okay? Differentiate again, and what will I get? Acceleration. And acceleration equals 2. Right? Now I'm ready to read the question. Okay? So I want you to do this up at the top of every question. Right? Yes. Yeah, you get marks then, you get lots of marks. Because even though you probably answered some of the questions, but you haven't numbered them, and that they don't penalise you for not numbering stuff. Right? Okay? Find the distance after 2 seconds. So distance after 2 seconds. So that means, which formula will I use? T squared. Distance equals t squared. Will I use that? So distance equals t squared. What will I do? After 2 seconds. Everywhere I see a t, what will I do? Put in a 2. So that's 2 to be squared. And 2 squared is 4. So that's the distance after 2 seconds. Is that right? It's actually 4 meters. But as I say, you don't need units. So that's why I'm not putting them in, because they're not important. Okay? Part 2. Right, it says, find the distance travelled after 6 seconds. So again, I'm looking for distance After 6 seconds. So what's my formula for distance? It's t squared again, isn't it? But this time, instead of t, what am I going to put in? 6. So it's 6 to be squared, which would be 36. Is that okay? Right, part 3. Find the average speed in meters per second between t equals 2 and t equals 6. Right, okay, so what's his speed? They're looking for speed. So the speed, what's the formula for speed? They're looking for speed, that's what they said. What's formula for speed? 2t, right, okay. So they want t equals 2 seconds, and they want t is equal to 6 seconds, isn't it? So there's two sums in that, right? So how'll I get t equals 2 seconds? Everywhere I see a t, put in a 2. So I get 2 times 2, which is 4. Isn't that right? How do I get t equals 6 seconds? Everywhere I see a t, put in a 6. So it's 2 times 6 is 12. Now I have 2 answers, but they said find the average speed. So can anyone suggest what I'll do with my 2 answers? If they say average speed, what'll I do? Average them. So how do you get the average of 2 numbers? You add them and divide by 2. So you get 4 plus 12 divided by 2, which is 8. Okay? So the average speed is 8. Does everyone see how I did that? Okay? So there's like 3 little mini sums in there. So you have to get the speed when it's 2, you have to get the speed when it's 6, and then it said get the average. So get the average speed, you add them. How do you get the average of 2 numbers? You add them and divide by 2. You learned that primary school. Is that okay? Right, everyone okay? And the last bit of that question then was, right, I'll go back to these is what I need, these 3 formulas. Okay, and part 5 says, find the speed after 5 seconds. So they said speed after 5 seconds. So you need the formula for speed. So what's the formula for speed? 2t. And what I do, I want it after 5 seconds, so what I do? Everywhere I see a t, put in a 5, so it's 2 times 5, which is 10. Okay, right. How we fixed? Are we okay? Right. So they'll give you distance in the question. Right, you are to stop reading once you get the distance. I want you to stop reading the question, right, and write down speed and acceleration, and then go back and read the question, and then you'll have 3 formulas. You just have to pick which one you're filling in, right? Is that okay? Right, so I want you to do page 260. Question 3. I'm going to give you 5 minutes to do it, and then I'm going to correct it. Okay? And there's a fraction in it, right? Okay, when you're differentiating, girls, that just bring the power down in front. So 2 multiplied by 9 over 4, do that in your calculator. You know the way you, just because it's a fraction, it doesn't make a difference. You still multiply by what's there. So it's 2 multiplied by 9 over 4, t to the power 1. So use your calculator to do that, okay? You probably have no books, so I'll forget this. So I'll just put up number 3 there for you. Okay. Is that okay? You can see that, can you? Is it big enough? I'll take that as a yeah. It's like being online again and talking to yourself. Thanks. Appreciate it. I love when people answer me, especially online. It's soul destroying online because everyone has their camera off and you ask a question and nobody answers you. And it's like they're all gone back to bed or they're gone making a cup of tea, and it's like, yeah, and I'm sitting here talking to myself. So, yeah. Okay, so you have 5 minutes to do number 3. Come on. You're not getting a break, by the way. You abused it the last day, so don't ask me. Well, if I say you can have 5 minutes this time, will you take 5 minutes and not 9, which is what you took last time? Right, you can have 5 minutes though. Right. And timing you, it's 15:05 on my phone. If you're all not sitting down by 15:10, you're never getting a break again. Well, it's okay, it's 6, so 11, so.
How would you differentiate 9/4 to part 2?
Right, okay, so, it's on freeze, sorry, and it's on this, right now, like, give me a sec. So you know if it was like something like 5t squared, you'd bring the 2 down in front and you'd multiply it by the 5 and t. So if it was 9/4 t squared, you'd bring the 2 down in front and multiply it by the 9/4.
In the brackets.
Yeah, and t. So
Okay.
into your calculator, do 2 multiplied by 9/4. You'll still end up with a fraction. You'll end up at 9/2, but that's okay. That's okay. You have a calculator, don't you? 81/4. No. You multiply 2, you squared the top for some reason. You multiply it by 2. You know, if it was 5t squared, you'd go 2 multiplied by 5 is 10. Yeah, so if it's 9/4 t squared, you'd say 2 multiplied by 9 over 4 would be 9 over 2. Is that alright? Okay. Ooh, 1 minute. Ooh. Yes, yes. I should take note, shouldn't I? They have 1 minute. No, she's not late yet. No, she's not late. She's 1 minute to get in her seat. Leave her alone. No, no, it was 6 minutes past. It was 5 past when I said it, but by the time he got to the door, it was 6 minutes. So, yeah, I'm allowed, they're allowed 1 minute. 1 minute, I'm counting. Oh, look. You just made it. Sorry, you need this. How did we do? It's still 15:11. You got away with it on the technicality. Yeah. Oh, it's 15:12 now, and you're all sitting there, so it's fine. You can have a break next week. Just bring the power down in front, so it's 9 over 4 t squared. So you bring the 2 down in front and multiply it by 9 over 4. So on your calculator you do 2 multiplied by 9 over 4.
And just ignore the minus.
Well, they just keep the minus.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, will I correct? Or do you want another minute? No, you're done. Right, okay, so distance equals 30t minus 9 over 4t squared. Right, before I even read the question, I'm going to differentiate that and call it speed. Right, so if you differentiate 30t, you'll just get 30. If you differentiate here, you bring the power down in front and you multiply it by whatever's here and reduce the power by 1. Okay, so it's 2 multiplied by 9 over 4. So into your calculator with that, and that will give you 9 over 2. Okay, 9 over 2t. Okay, or if you do s to d, you'll get 4.5, same thing. Right, is that okay? Right, so that's the formula I'm going to use. Acceleration, I'm going to differentiate again, and I'm going to spell acceleration properly. Acceleration, differentiate again. Differentiate here, you just get minus 9 over 2. You just get the number in front of t. Can anyone tell me about this body, whatever we're talking about? A car. What's the story with the car? Is it getting faster or getting slower? Slower. How do you know? It's minus. So minus just tells you it's slowing down. Okay? Irrelevant. Doesn't really matter, but right, okay. So part 1 says find the distance after 4 seconds. So distance after 4 seconds. So I have my 3 formulas up here. So which one am I picking? 30t minus 9 over 4t squared. So the top one, the distance one. Right? Everywhere I see a t, put in a 4. So it's 30 times 4 minus 9 over 4 t to be squared, so that's 84 to get 84. Right, is that okay? Into the calculator with that. Okay, what did I put there? What I meant to put was a 4 and a squared on the outside. I don't know what I actually wrote, but that's what I should have wrote. Should have written would be better, would it? Old English. Right, okay. Are we good? Right, next one is part 2. I covered that over. Is that alright? Will I leave it there another minute? We're okay? Right, okay. So part 2 then reads, find the speed after 2 seconds. So speed after 2 seconds. So you look up, right, you have your 3 formulas written up at the top. They want speed, so what will I write down? What formula will I write down? 30 minus 9 over 2t. Okay, just a simplified version. Okay, right, and everywhere I see a t, put in a 2. So it's 9 over 2 times 2 into the calculator. That you'll get 21. Okay, is that alright? Okay, part 3. After how many seconds is the speed of the car equal to 0? Okay, so we want to know when is speed equal to 0. So that's the question. When is speed equal to 0? So you up here you get your formula for speed. So it's 30 minus 9 over 2t. And they're not telling me what to fill in for t. They want me to solve this and let it equal to 0 and solve. So this is a case of t's on one side, numbers on the other. So leave the minus 9 over 2t. Bring over the 30, becomes minus 30. Okay, there's a minus 9 over 2 stuck to the t. So you just divide each side by minus 9 over 2. Don't be put off by the fraction because you have a calculator, it's just the same. So you're doing minus 30 divided by minus 9 over 2. Okay, so into the calculator with that, multiply by 2 over 9. 60 over 9? No, I've got that wrong, have I? What you get? 20 over 3, yeah. 20 over 3, which is 60 over 9. Yeah, is that okay? That's just calculator work. Minus 30 divided by minus 9 over 2. Are we okay with that? So that was, they told me there the speed is equal to 0. What's another way they could have asked me that question? They could have asked me when was the what?
The rest
Yeah, when the car was at rest, or when was the car stopped. Okay? It's the same thing. They spelt it out for you there, but normally they look to say when is it stopped or at rest. Okay? Right. The next one is part 4, and I'm showing my 3 formulas up at the top there again because I know I'm going to need them. So part 4 says, find the distance travelled by the car up to the time its speed is 0. So this time we're looking for distance again, right, when speed is 0, right, and I just figured out that t was equal to 20 over 3 when speed was 0, okay? If you turn that to a decimal, you just use the decimal, it's fine. Okay, is that alright? So distance is 30 times t, 30 times t minus 9 over 4 t squared. Okay, this time t is equal to 20 over 3, so that's 30 times 20 over 3 minus 9 over 4, 20 over 3, 2b squared. So that would be 100, that would be 200, take away 100 is 100. I think if you do that in your calculator you get 100, but I'm open to correction. That's 10, that's 200, yeah. That would be 400, that would be 100. Yeah? Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Are we okay? Right, okay. I'm going to leave you off with a few more of these, okay? So, between now and tomorrow, you're going to do page 260 to 261. Let's do 4 to 10, okay? That's a lot of questions now, but you have a lot of time between now and the end of the class. So I suggest you get moving, okay? So page 260 to 261, numbers 4 to 10, okay? And I will put it up right now, okay? I'll put up the first few and I'll take a picture and put it up in Teams in case you're faster than me moving the book, okay? So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, right, okay? So 4 and 5, I'll put them here. Right, and I'll freeze that. I'll also take a picture and put it on Teams. So. I don't know what went up there, but it wasn't what was supposed to go up.
Miss Meadows, question.
Yeah. Okay, I think I've got the 2 pages up now. And I'll put up the answers as well. Yeah.
What are they asking you about?
Page 260. Is it? They're asking you, part 1 is find the value of the STT. That's differentiate part 1, so they're asking you for speed. Right? Okay, and then the second one, D2, DST2, so that means differentiate again. So that's another way of asking you for acceleration. So find the speed when t equals 2 is part 1. Find the acceleration when t equals 3. That's part 2.
Thank you.
Okay? Right. I stuck up the answers there as well if you want to check. Right. Uh, yeah. Yeah. You might get a 10 max because you subbed in the right number into the wrong equation, you know. But remember, we're in differentiation too, so make sure you differentiate. Girls, we're near the end of the chapter, but I'm actually going to be missing Thursday and Friday, so I won't have it finished, okay, so we'll finish it the first week back, right? But we're actually doing well with the time anyway, you know, so we're fine. Sorry. If anyone has any questions, make sure you ask them. For IV, after how many seconds does the particle stop rising? It stops, it's going up. So basically, they're asking when it stops, right? So no, speed equals 0. Height equals 0 means it's on the ground, right? You want it to stop moving. So that's another way of saying stop moving or stop or at rest. So speed equals 0. So you have 50 minus 40, do for speed. Let that equal to 0 and solve. Do we want me to move this page over to the other? Is everyone ready? As in, I go over here. If you're not, it's on Teams anyway, right? So get out your phones. Okay. Did you ever think you'd hear a teacher say that?